Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at my Aegis Haven deck. This is the third iteration now, I think, since Wonderland Dreams release. So I've made a couple of adjustments, removed a couple of things from the last video. If you want to check out the last deck, you can find that somewhere on the channel. I might link it in the description, we'll just wait and see how that goes. But I've put in a couple of healing angels, I added an extra priest, and that's pretty much it. Majorly adjustments. I've put in cyclones again after taking them out because they are solid, and with the shadow decks that are running around at the moment, they work pretty well, and they do a good job against neutral rune as well, surprisingly. So not a bad card overall, even if you can't hit face with it. So just some minor adjustments to the deck, but definitely keeps it going. The healing angels are a big one because the extra healing in the early game, especially with the 2-3 body, works out nicely against both blood, shadow and neutral rune, along with setting up for the turn 4 plays and then so on all the way up to 9. So hopefully you guys enjoy this and we'll get into some games. Alrighty, our first matchup is against Shadow. This was a pretty simple match. I'm pretty sure they were playing a net kind of variant because they didn't have much in the early game, surprisingly, which I think contributed to really allowing me to kill them off pretty quickly. So double Sacred Plea, Judge, keeping both Sacred Pleas can be pretty solid. Against Shadow it's a risk, but sometimes they're the risks you want to take. Plus, drawing that Black Inscription really did improve those Sacred Plea plays, because being able to play that on turn 2 to get rid of something is just really valuable. Even if they don't play anything here, still pretty good. Unfortunately, Snow White, I mean, the draws were just priceless. If you get a Snow White, you want to keep it. You get a Black Inscriptor, you want to keep it. Sacred Plea, another card you want to keep. There's a lot of those early 1-2 drop cards that you really want. Sometimes you can keep the Healing Angel or the Grimnir, it's just a matter of personal preference and knowing your matchups. Beast Call, another perfect 2-drop card, going along with the Sacred Pleas. Having both Sacred Pleas a little bit apart allows me to play more cards, thus I'm not drawing a massive buttload of cards all at once, which can easily put you into overdraw, which you don't want with this deck. You want to have a pretty consistent flow of cards. Fortunately here, we have all our banishments in our hand that we can kind of need. I mean, this Shadow has literally nothing left that can really threaten me here. I thought, why not use the Priest? Not a big deal. We've got double proc on Amulets next turn. We've got 3 Black Inscriptures. Each one can be played next turn if we need it. And that makes this matchup pretty quick and easy. I mean, they didn't play anything for the first 3 turns, and then their 4th turn was instantly countered, giving me plenty of time for setup. A normal Shadow matchup, you don't have that time, and you will be removing things every turn for as much as you can. So throwing the Priest, we don't need the Evolve here, we've got plenty of Blackens, so I'm not worried about the Priest's Evolve anyway, and the Dark John combo with it is just perfect. Of course, they kind of counter me, but the Dark John can still be quite valuable. I mean, the Snow White, not a big issue having it be hit, especially if we can guarantee there's 5 damage here. Shadow removing a 5-2, a 5-5 and a 2-2 on 7 when they only have 5 shadows is pretty unlikely. So fortunately, they concede. Okay, match 2. It's against Blood, so we have pretty much the top 2 decks right at the start of the video. Pretty expected, honestly. Fortunately, Healing Angel is a pretty perfect draw here. Dark John and March, not so much though. Dropping those, pretty obvious. Aiming for anything else. Fortunately, we do redraw a March, but the Black Inscription kind of makes up for that. And of course, we draw our Snow White and Heavenly Hound combo, which I seem to have a lot of the time, and it is a really nice combo to have when you need it. So I do decide just to go for it right now. Playing the Snow White out early is always good. Heavenly Hound can be played next turn along with Sacred Plea or a Black Inscription Sacred Plea depending on how I wanted to do things. And we can just now ram and do our Heavenly Hound combo anyway. More value than Grim here, especially for a 2-drop. Anyone who says Snow White is a bad card really hasn't used Snow White. so we get the 2-2, 2-4. They have to use their big knuckle. Fortunately, no evolve, meaning we can deal with that in this next turn. I do decide to use the Heavenly Hound though instead of using the Healing Angel. I wanted to keep the Healing Angel in case they try and deal some more damage and backpedal on me, and I'm not expecting a second big knuckle much here. And Hungering Horde, fortunately not a big threat. But March Fair's tea time, a perfect setup. We have enough evolves to use that effectively, so why not? Still got the Healing Angel, Double Blackened, and the Grim, which are perfect counters to most blood decks, especially Vengeance-based decks. You can really hit them hard in the early game and then just swing late game. As long as you're not rushed down super early. It's the one thing you do have to be careful of. You want a hard mulligan for those removal cards when you're playing these aggro style matchups. Which for most players should be pretty obvious, but if you are a newer player, that's something to keep in mind when you're playing against aggro decks. You want a mulligan for your counters if you are playing something like Haven. Fortunately, the second March works pretty nicely in my favour, and we can save our Evolve for the Heavenly. Luckily, Revelation, not a big issue. We can just let it happen and just play the board. I mean, we're going to have March Hare Tea Time proc next turn. We've got the Aegis already. We can use that as any kind of beat stick we want, and then just roll them. And when we have Grim as a follow-up, there's not much that they can defend with. So we can have an easy trade, ram the 2-3. Plenty of removal. No real threats to me. Blood Hungry, not a problem. It's very little value here. Getting only like 2 damage. And I can trade pretty much however I want. I mean, there's no real issue. I do decide just to go for the double Aegis. I mean, that's 18 guaranteed damage, and with the 2 Grims, it's not really an issue to clear board. And they're not killing me from 13 on turn 10 as a Vengeance Blood. Alright, our final matchup is Dragon. Another fun class, usually an uphill battle for Haven, but lately it's been pretty okay. I would say I'm breaking at least even against Dragon in most of my matchups, and most of them are fairly close. The only big problem is if they have perfect curve, but you really can't win against that no matter what you do. Oh, there we go. Sacred Plea, turn 1. Epic hand, good setup. Exactly what you want when you're facing a dragon. Since this deck primarily is anti-meta, it does counter things pretty nicely. And it's one that I've tested reasonably thoroughly, so having an idea on how to play it really does help when it comes to matchups. Luckily, no ramp for Dragon. Who needs ramp when you can just go face? And this is a pretty nice way just to chip damage him down. Save those Tribunals because you want to use those when they can Bahamut, because they're an amazing Bahamut counter. Breath of Salamander, pain in the ass card, but does already remove their clear, so the odds of them having more get smaller and smaller. Obviously they will be running 3, but the odds of them having them in hand are in our favour now. Snow White, 1-2, Death Rattle, well, last word, sorry. Can't get those Hearthstone terms mixed up. I.e. they're practically the same thing. Tribunal, perfect way to get rid of Sybil. Little early, but by the time it drops to 1, they'll be in their Bahamut turn anyway. So no real issue. They go for the heal. Don't really seem to have anything else and just play the herb. Which is odd because I don't know why you'd want to do that to Snow White. I'm guessing they're pretty much just giving up by this point. Or just trying to fill my board to stop some other kind of play, but who knows. So I decided to use that to my advantage, ram one of the Snow Whites completely, get rid of it, play the Heavenly with the Evolve, thus giving us some more board presence and plenty of setup if they do want to Bahamut. I mean, Beast Call and the Tribunal are great because even if they Bahamut the board, they then lose everything and we are left with a 2-1 and a 4-4. So a little bit more of a difficult spot after that play. I mean, we've only got the Snow White and a few other things left. We have to deal with the 6-5 and the 2-2. Which honestly, I could probably just I could have just judged here. Not a bad option. But I decided just to go a little bit different. Holding on to those Evolves. Just in case I really want to put that pressure on them. I mean, I'm going to get 1 for this Aegis anyway. So it's not really an issue. But against Dragon, having that extra Evolve could mean the difference between winning or losing. Genesis gets completely demolished. And from here, there's not much else I really need to do. The Evolve's worth spending because we're going to put them below 10, which is where we want them for when our Aegis attacks. And with Dark Janine, they need to boost at least 3 damage to die still, so they need 4 to be in a Lucifer. Fortunately, no Lucifer. Good for me. And that will round out this deck, so if you want to play this deck list will be in the description below. I should leave a link to the other video, that's what I plan on doing at this point. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.